Sadguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambi Reads the Holy Books of India, ShrimadBhagavatam6. As you may remember, Narada was telling Vyasa what he learned from the rishis. Strangely enough, the technique was quite simple. People who perform action with the thought of the Lord in their minds will naturally think of him all the time. If the action is performed with the words, "Salutations to you, Lord of Lords," "I worship you, calling you by the names Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Shankarsana," that will be the path to moksha, freedom from the bondage of karma. This was the great lesson taught to me by the sages. The Lord was compassionate, and he instilled in my mind the thought that he was the one truth, and that all the rest was illusion. 4. The search after truth. The sages went away, and I was left alone. I had a mother, as I told you before. She was a servant, she was ignorant, and she was immensely attached to me, her only child. I knew how foolish it was to love like that, but it was not possible for me to leave her and go away. I was with her in the ashram where she worked and waited for the grace of God. The world, my friend, is under the sway of God, and his ways are inscrutable. We see what is happening, but we lose sight of the fact that something else is responsible for the happenings in the world. The actions of people are like those of a puppet. It seems to move on its own accord, but it's not so. It has to move the way the strings are pulled, and the strings are pulled by an expert who is not seen by us. One night, my mother was proceeding towards the cowshed to milk the cow belonging to the ashram. It was twilight, and even that little light was fading rapidly. My poor mother was bitten by a snake, which was lying in her path, and she died on the spot. Strangely enough, I did not feel too unhappy, since I knew that this was the Lord's doing, that he had so engineered it that I would get my freedom. My mother was a banda, and now I was free of it. I left the ashram and proceeded towards the north. I traveled through many countries and many forests. I crossed rivers which were beautiful. The forests were full of flowering trees, trees which had their branches broken by wild elephants. I saw mountains gleaming golden and silvery because of the minerals which were hidden in the rocks. I saw lakes which were noisy with the sounds of bees, which were murmuring all the while. I passed fearful bamboo forests, and to my ears came the noise made by the roaring of wild animals, the howling of jackals, and the mournful hooting of the night owls. I was exhausted, and my limbs were aching, my throat was parched, and I was hungry. I went toward the river, washed myself, and drank my fill of the sweet water. I then sat under an immense peepal tree. I assumed the posture which the sages had taught me, and concentrated my mind on the form of the Lord, which they had described. I sat there absorbed in meditation. In my mind's eye, I saw the form of Narayana slowly taking shape. I saw him, and my body trembled with ecstasy. Tears flowed incessantly, and my entire being was flooded with joy. Sadguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.